like you better dead. I like your enthusiasm, Beast.
You think you're better than me?
You there. How are your last breaths going?
No, whoops.
Your true nature.
Feel our power!
Shit, found
I'm not alone! I don't believe in you!
This is my purpose.
Interloper! Grieve not my gift!
Look at this forehead. Out of his mind on sports. This is what happens when we don't educate our claptraps. That's an extended long-term memory enhancement chip. That's super helpful because our short-term memories are terrible. Who are you again? Oh, hey, an extended long-term memory enhancement chip.
Death is natural, but yours was thrilling. Yes, to the bloodletting! What the hell happened?
Did he die?
Strike now, beast!
Fuck it.
Fall and be reborn to the hunt.
Base should be close now. Yup, you guessed it. You can use the road site to find it.
Well struck.
Borderlands 3 has a ton of legendary weapons, and compared to Borderlands 1 and 2, their score rate seems to be a lot higher. So I thought in this video, why not cover 10 awesome legendary weapons that you can find right now in Borderlands 3 Part 1. Starting off the video today, we have a legendary shotgun known as the One from Chomp, and I have to say, this is one of the best legendaries I have found so far.
Damn, bro. What the fuck? The getaway.
It has decent stats across the board until you get to its additional effects, and that is what
Damn, it's dark. See if you can get the lights on. Archimedes! Where the hell are you, man? Don't like the looks of this. See if you can make sense of the mess.
This place smells of organic suffering, with a hint of fermented salt.
Damn, that's gassy. Best smuggler in the rogues. At least she was. Forget his name. But guess it don't matter now. They're gonna put the candy back in that pinata. That ain't no good. Hard to make out the face, but that's Archimedes' ID. Guess he's really gone. Grab a security ID, Vault Hunter. We might need it. Alright, we should check the security console.
Initializing security protocols. Scanning.
Let's take a look.
That's Archimedes coming back. Send your hunger down. Extraction ain't happening today. Maybe tomorrow. How long does he think we can keep this fragment hidden? Swamp's crawling with COV. Hey, what the hell? How'd they find us?
Someone got the drop on my rogues and took the fragment. But I ain't no detective. Good thing I've got something pretty damn close. Hit that button
Alright,
over there.
come on.
See, from time to time, a smuggler needs to drop his cargo in a hurry. So, the rogues use a special loot tracker, designed it myself. With that baby, we can hunt down lost cargo across the entire planet. But in this case, we're gonna track down that fragment and the traitor who stole it.
Access denied.
Damn, forgot about that. See, every rogue has a security ID, like the one you picked up from that bloody mess that was my man Archimedes. Looks like whoever killed my rogues was smart enough to take the rest of their IDs. Good thing I still got a few live agents in the field. You'll need to get their IDs before we can activate the loot tracker. Let's start with Agent D. He's the closest.
Where the juice lies. These, alongside its normal stats, are subject to change depending on the weapon's level, but the weapon has plus 1,160% damage, with a plus 28% reload speed, a 3.5 times weapon zoom, and also has another effect that allows a 50% chance to not consume ammo per shot, which means the weapon can sometimes be fired multiple times in succession, and because of the sheer power that this gun puts out, it can truly be devastating. To get this weapon, you will want to be on the planet of Promethea, and you'll need to go to the Electro City region. You go here very early on in the game, so this is a weapon you can pick up early, but once you're in Electro City, you'll want to head over to this location on the map. Just for reference, you can see the spawn point to this location, and once you're here, you'll want to head down into the tunnels. Once in the tunnels, there will be a left turn that you can make that will lead you to a puzzle you're supposed to solve. The puzzle involves the TVs in the back of the hallway and 4 switches you can use to turn the TVs on. The puzzle is solved when all of the TVs come on at the same time, and the way we did this is to just keep pressing random switches, and we had success doing it this way several times, so I'm sure you guys can pretty much do it this way as well, and you'll eventually get them all to turn on. Anyway, when all of the TVs turn on, an enemy known as One Punch will come out of the doorway, and this is the guy who can drop the One Pump Chump. Make sure to be careful though, his name is One Punch, and he is no joke. If he hits you once, you are guaranteed to go down, so make sure that you keep your distance, and kill him as fast as you can. This took us a few tries to get, so if you don't get it on your first try, simply reload your game and try again. But we have the legendary Skexel. Now the Skexel is a builder of the bolt weapon that can take bursts of 7 rounds per shot, but also has 3 elemental projectiles, and because of this, and also its very good fire rate, this gun is a literal machine, one of the better legendaries I managed to obtain. You can get this gun in various different elements, and the previous for extra getting was the Stabby Nasty variant, with Incendiary as the elemental type. To get this weapon, you'll need to go to the Ascension Block region of Pandora. Luckily enough, you start the game on Pandora and can get this weapon very early on. Anyway, once you're in Ascension Block, you want to make your way to this location on the map. It's here where you will find one of Sir Hammerlock's legendary constant challenges, and the enemy known as Sprat will spawn. This is the enemy that has a chance to drop the weapon. It took me a few times to farm this guy, but luckily he's very easy to farm, as the spawn location for this region is quite close to the location. Overall, the weapon is great and definitely one that you guys will want to pick up. One of the things I love about Borderlands is there's never a shortage of awesome Easter eggs, and it really shows with the next weapon, known as the redundant Savage Cleaver. The weapon is a Hyperion legendary shotgun that drops from a rare enemy spawn known as Rick and Morty, which is clearly a reference to the TV show Rick and Morty. So much so that the enemies even look and sound similar to Rick and Morty, and being a huge fan of the show, it's really awesome to see this Easter egg in the game. Anyway, to get this weapon, you want to go to the Electro City region of Promethea. Once here, you want to head over to this location on the map, and it's here where Rick and Morty have a chance to spawn. Now obviously, if they don't spawn here, simply reload the game and head back, and hopefully you'll eventually get them to spawn, but then you'll have to fight them. Morty is very easy to kill and doesn't have much health, but Rick on the other hand will keep teleporting, so you will have to hunt him down a little bit. Anyway, once you have killed Rick, he has a chance to drop the redundant Savage Cleaver. The weapon itself is actually decent. It has decent stats across the board with additional effects of boosted weapon damage, critical hit damage, weapon shield capacity, and weapon accuracy. And also, because it's Hyperion, it has a shield on the gun when aiming down sights that can reflect bullets when hit. Overall, it's a decent legendary weapon and definitely one for you collectors out there. For the next weapon on this list, we have the shocking 9 volts. This weapon is a legendary gold pistol that always comes with the shock elemental effect, and will always have a damage modifier of ×3, but the rest of its stats are subject to change depending on the weapon's level. What makes this weapon unique though is the burst pattern. It shoots 6 bullets for the price of 3 and shoots them in a V shape. Because of this, it makes it a very powerful weapon to use. To get this weapon, you'll want to go to the Meridian Complex in Promethea and head over to this location. It's here where you can get a quest known as Kill Kilovolt. Now because I already accepted it when I wasn't recording, it's not here for me anymore, but go here and the quest should be available from the board on the pillar. Anyway, you want to make your way through this quest line because at the very end of this, you get to fight a boss known as Kilovolt, and it's here where the shocking 9 volt has a chance to spawn. It took us about 3 tries to get this weapon, and just to mention, you do have to complete the quest before you can continue farming this guy. Overall, the weapon is very powerful and has additional effects of boosted critical hit damage, and also has a 2.2 and 5 times weapon zoom. Yet another early game legendary weapon you can obtain is known as the Mind Killer. The Mind Killer is a legendary Maniman shotgun that drops from a boss fight known as Mouthpiece. And of course, Mouthpiece is one of the first main boss fights you will come across, so it will be very easy for you to farm this. The weapon itself has a flavor text that states, "I must not fear. Fear is the Mind Killer," and also boasts additional effects of boosted weapon damage and weapon charge speed. The gun also shoots out a sound blast of 9 pellets per shot, similar to that of Mouthpiece itself, and when zoomed in, it passes those 9 bullets into a tight circle for better accuracy. As far as legendary weapons go, it's decent and definitely a great weapon to pick up early game. Next up, we have a Maniban SMG known as the Westerner. The Westerner consists between 2 elemental types. The variants that I got in this was the shock and radiation elements, but for you this may be different. As far as SMGs go, this is actually pretty damn powerful. It has a decent fire rate and has additional effects of splash damage radius and a 3.3 times weapon zoom. And of course, most of the default stats are subject to change depending on the weapon's level. The flavor text for this weapon is "I believe you, but my Tommy gun don't," which is a reference to the movie Home Alone.
You're a young man. All right. I believe you. But my Tommy gun don't.
To get this weapon, you'll need to have visited the planet of Venus, and also got the character known as Ava on board Sanctuary 3. This happens naturally through the main story, but once you do have Ava on board Sanctuary, you can then get a side quest from her known as Invasion of Privacy, and it's at the end of this quest where you will come across an enemy known as Beans. Beans is the guy who has a chance to drop the legendary Westerner. Now again, if you kill him and you don't get the weapon, you do need to complete the quest before you can continue to farm for this. And just for reference, here is the location of where he will spawn on Athena's in comparison to your spawn location. Returning from previous Borderlands games, we have the legendary Lyuda and TK Baja's Wavegun. I managed to get both of these from a boss fight known as Captain Tron that you will come across during the main quest line on the planet of Venus. Once you complete the main quest here, it will then become farmable, and there's a spawn point just above where you fight him, so he's very easy to farm. Again, for me, the first legendary he dropped was the Lyuda, which is a fan favourite weapon from Borderlands 2, and is extremely powerful. The weapon itself is a Vladar sniper that has the flavor text Mind Killer, which has the unique ability that allows it to shoot 1 projectile that splits into 3 projectiles on a horizontal plane. And because of the variant I ended up getting, which was the annexed Vicious Lyuda, it gave the weapon a ×2 modifier, which allowed me to shoot 6 projectiles for the price of 2 bullets, making this gun one of the most powerful weapons I currently have. Like seriously, this gun is amazing. It also has additional effects of boosted critical hit damage, weapon accuracy, and fire rate, consumes 2 ammo per shot, and also has a 9.9 times weapon zoom. In addition to this, when farming him, I also got TK Baja's Shockwave, which is a legendary Jacob's shotgun that does shock elemental damage. The flavor text for this one is Ride the Wave Dude, which offers the unique ability to fire blue projectiles in a horizontal line that also oscillate up and down and ricochet off walls. The weapon also offers boosted critical hit damage, weapon accuracy, and fire rate. Both of these weapons are great, but one thing that I am uncertain of is whether or not Captain Sean is guaranteed to drop these specific weapons, or if he just drops random legendaries. Either way, he's very easy to farm and has pretty good drop rate, so you're bound to get some cool legendaries from him. Yet again, we have multiple legendaries in one location. This time, it's the Handsome Jackhammer and two legendary grenade mods known as the Quasar and Trooper's Order. All of these drop from me on the planet of Venus. If you head over to this location on the map, you will come across one of Sir Hammerlock's legendary points crew challenges that task you to kill a creature known as the Chupacabra. Once killed, he has a chance to drop some legendary items. His main one is the grenade mod known as Trooper's Organ, which is a homing grenade that essentially sucks the life out of your enemies with its life drain effect. The second one I got was the legendary Quasar grenade mod, which is a returning grenade from Borderlands 2, and yet another homing grenade that sticks to the target and does drop damage. And then the third drop I got was the Handsome Jackhammer. The Handsome Jackhammer is manufactured by Hyperion, and as many of you will know, this means that it has that pop-out shield that activates when aiming down sights. The weapon also has two special effects. The first is that when thrown, it bounces around like a bouncing Betty, while also shooting and doing explosive damage each time it hits the ground. And the second special effect is the fact that the gun will randomly at times in Handsome Jack's voice, which is really cool. Overall, a strong SMG though is pretty decent, and again, I'm uncertain if this weapon in particular is a guaranteed drop from the Chupacabra, but either way, it's easy to farm off of random legendary weapons, and also has the main grenade mod drop of the Trooper's Organ. Now this is one of the weirder guns in Borderlands 3, and it's known as the Predatory Lending. It's manufactured by Hyperion and has the flavor text, one shot cheap, but not that cheap, which gives it the unique ability to quite literally cost money to shoot each shot. That's right, every time you shoot a bullet, it costs $1, which is absolutely insane and more of a collector's item as opposed to something you would use normally. To get this gun, you'll need to be in the Drought region on the planet of Pandora. If you head over to this location on the map, you'll come across another one of Sir Hammerlock's legendary hunt challenges, and in this case, you will task the creature known as the Lavender Crawler, and it's here where this legendary weapon has a chance to spawn. Again, the weapon is Hyperion, which means that it does come with that pop-out shield when aiming down sights, and also offers additional effects of boosted weapon damage, critical hit damage, and weapon shield capacity. But all of that combined just isn't worth using the gun, for the fact that it costs money to use. Either way, it's a collector's item and a legendary weapon that some of you guys out there may want to obtain. And for the final few legendaries of the video, we have the Maliwan Shredder Fire and the TDO Smart Gun XXL. Both of these spawn from Gigamine, which is a boss fight during the main quest line on the planet of Promethea, so this is something that you wouldn't actually come across. However, if you do want to continue farming Gigamine, again, you do have to complete the main quest line. And then from there, you can simply head over to this location on the map where he spawns and start farming him. His main legendary weapon drop is the Smart Gun XXL, which when reloaded and thrown, turns into a brain turret on the ground that also shoots at enemies, which again is absolutely insane. The gun also features an alien weapon barrel that gives the weapon a 100% increase in damage, making this a very viable and gimmicky legendary to use. The next weapon I got from here was the Shredder Fire, and I have to say, this thing is an absolute machine. The flavor text for the weapon is Speed Kills, which offers the unique ability of greatly decreased spawn time, extremely high firing speed, and very large capacity. And that combined with its already high fire rate of 16.98 makes this weapon very, very powerful. The version I ended up getting was corrosive, but it is possible to get different elemental types, and again, this one for me was one of the more powerful legendaries listed in this video. And that's pretty much it for the video. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like down below. It's always greatly appreciated on the channel. And if you're into this kind of content, why not subscribe? I'll be doing a ton more Borderlands 3 top 10 videos, and this is just the beginning of what's to come. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick and today I'll be showing you guys a list of my favorite guns to use while playing weapons, also for killing regular mobs just out in the open world. Now before I get into the video, I just want to give a big shout out to the fans from GG, which is a gaming supplement similar to G Fuel, but instead of being full of sugar and other bad ingredients, which ended up causing me to crash pretty hardcore with lots of other problems. Advance actually has some really quality ingredients, and it helps you stay energized and focused for hours upon hours while gaming without letting you crash. I'd highly recommend the products. I personally use them all the time and they work fantastically. But if you end up purchasing anything from the website, please make sure to use code NICK2 for 10% off, as that's going to help me out a ton and ensure that I can continue to work on videos for a living. Also, please consider checking me out on Twitch over at twitch.tv/NICK2, as I stream every single day and I often play and help viewers. I usually send viewers weapons and if you want to come hang out, stream, get some guns, one more thing, good idea that I wanted to give you guys multiple weapon and weapon trades, different weapons that you would like. Feel free to leave the name in the comments below, along with weapons you have, and then weapons you want. For example, on PSN, it's blank, I have blank gun, I have both blank guns, and at each other, and boom, everybody else is getting all the weapons they want. Without further ado, alright, now before I get into every single gun, I'd like to mention that the skills using these guns is kind of reliant on time. In the head count, it's like to know more about the build I made this video for this build using bosses. I'm playing pretty much so I'd like to know more about how I use. But pretty much, a lot of these guns aren't going to work very well without the time increase. For a quick, the chance for one man to add it back to the magazine, and the chance to add ammo is pretty good. The reason I think it's good is because certain guns like shotguns or snipers that shoot like a lot of units that shoot multiple shots at the same time, or guns that shoot extra projectiles, every single one of those pellets or projectiles or whatever has a chance to get back the ammo, that you're never going to have to reload with this weapon. This is very vital for the gunman, and
find some cover. The trainer used quiet for the trap to kill you.
Definitely I really good time with that, though. Also, you want to use X count. You want to use yours. You're out of your fade away. All you want to do is just get back to the way. X count, weapon, or shotgun. So, they're going to be for bosses, normal mob, quick, white foot, and then I'll try to get it. Before I get into every single gun, I just want to say I have not tested every single gun in the game yet, obviously, so there's something I would prove out. Black, particularly, who's in down in the comments. So, we're going to start off with my favorite gun, which is the Lyuda, which I first got from the Grey Force also through the comments. I believe in all the comments about that. I got it from the Grey Force and I did it from an array of other boxes as well. Lyuda is my favorite gun, not only because it kills bosses faster than any other gun that I've seen in this car, but it also kills great at killing normal enemies because it will literally just one hit them. The reason is because it has a very high base damage and very high fire rate, and the magazine size is pretty low. You want a roll that's going to have a low magazine size because then you can get a low mag size that has a very high base damage. That's why it's good, because the game doesn't expect you to just never have to reload by just spamming over and over again. But doing that, you never have to reload, and you're able to just spam the gun over and over again, doing 90 damage per shot. Spam it. It's absolutely insane. Not much else to say about it. The reason that you're getting your ammo back is because they allow you to actually shoot multiple shots in like kind of a line. If you look right here, it doesn't just shoot one bullet, it's shooting like 3 or something like that. I don't even know exactly the amount of projectiles, but it shoots multiple, getting your ammo back. The main problem with this, if you're just trying to kill normal mobs, is that you'll probably end up running out of ammo, but you can honestly just swap to a different gun or constantly reload or whatever, and you don't run out of ammo that frequently, so not a big deal. In terms of which type of layer do you want, I think Ruthless is the best. It's going to have the highest base damage. I've tried ones that are elemental, and they just don't seem to do as much damage as the ones that don't have elements.
Well, time to head to the docks and find my buddy Domino.
Very, very strong.
Best sharpshooter in the Edens and polite as pie.
Moving on to what is probably my second favorite weapon. This weapon is not very good for killing bosses, but it's great for when you're outside of your fadeaway, or if you're just trying to kill normal mobs. It's great for killing normal mobs, and it's great when you're outside of your fadeaway, trying to just spam crits to get your fadeaway back. The reason being is that every time you crit an enemy, it returns bullets to your mag, so you never have to reload pretty much, and it also ricochets bullets to the nearest enemy. But the best thing about it is that it has a very high rate of fire, a huge magazine size, and it's super accurate. So it's great for killing mobs when you're not in your fadeaway, and you can just spam crits very easily, and with the high RPM complementing it, you're able to take advantage of head count, get your fadeaway back,
I see you coming,
super
Vault
fast,
Hunter.
and it's even
Like
really
said, he was
strong
working with some
fadeaway
serious
because of
muscle.
the
I'm in a
quick
secure
ricocheting
location overlooking a dock full of COV. Need some help clearing them out. We'll talk after.
I got this gun from killing Brave Wars, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the bombs drop.
I want to see what you've got.
What is very similar to this is probably my next favorite is Rose's Call.
I am Predator, you are
a little bit
Prey.
better at just flat out damage, so it's okay against bosses. I kind of do solutions against bosses because I need to get some outside of my fadeaway and just normal mobs. The reason that Roman is pretty good is the base damage is higher, but the accuracy suffers, and the magazine is like. You can use Romans against bosses. It's not nearly as good as some other guns that'll get
Good boy.
not nearly as good as some other guns that'll get into, but it's still pretty strong. I mainly like to use it against killing ads, and the reason that it's really strong is just the base damage is insane, and it has the same effect as Lucian, where when you crit, it ricochets bullets from nearby enemies, but it just does pretty much double the damage against Lucian. So a really good combo is using Romans as your gun when you're in fadeaway, and then using Lucian when you're out of your fadeaway to pretty much immediately get your fadeaway back. I'd recommend getting both of these as fire or corrosive. In my opinion, those are the best elements. I have not seen these without elements. It is possible that they have archetypes without elements. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, you can get both of them just from killing any boss pretty much. I've seen them drop from pretty much everything. Moving on to my next favorite, or what I think is the next strongest next in line to allow you to kill bosses really fast is King's Call and Queen's Call. These have the ability to return bullets to your mag with your crit, and also with the
Don't hold back!
And you're fighting a boss, all three of these bullets ricocheting and turning to the boss. And also, you're critting every time you're fade away, so you're literally never having to reload. It's absolutely insane amount of damage. Personally, I don't think this is very good against normal NPC. The reason being is that no one has safe in the back.
Rip them to shreds!
Much easier than kind of fun to make and crazy accuracy. It's very inaccurate, and it has very high recoil. It's pretty expensive than normal NPC. And at that point, I'd rather just use one of called spam and pull out spray. This would, in theory, do more damage than that, but like I said, the fewer attacks of reload that automatically definitely probably Moving on to the next gun. This is also a boss gun.
Watch
I
out!
can use it for
Drop
normal
ship
mobs. I
incoming!
don't think it's
Please
as
find
good as
some
another
cover,
shotgun
Vault
I'll
Hunter.
get into in a second. But Reload Hell Walker, otherwise known as the Doom Shotgun, really good because it has a 2-round magazine loaded with 10 pellets, and it has additional crit damage. So pretty much what we do is
Heads up!
take
Man
advantage of
bombers!
the more
I'll try to
this,
pick a
and
few of them off,
just
if that's
spam
alright
bosses
with you.
over and over again. I don't have to go reload. The reason I don't think it's good against normal SMGs is initial shot, you're gonna have to reload. But the reload speed on this is pretty fast, especially if you expect its reload speed. Then it would be pretty good against normal mobs. I just don't think it's very good at editing. I think it's pretty good at a lot of spots. Seconds, shotgun modifiers. I don't think it's as good as Lyra or Skull for getting bomb damage, but it's pretty comparable, and I definitely recommend it.
Nice, killing!
I got mine.
Those
Cobra,
dropships come
he
in
drops it
day
pretty
in and
often.
day out.
I also
See,
see
those
Tyrone drop
cultists are
it.
running an
I've
organ
also
trafficking
seen,
ring.
no, those are
Busting
only
up
two
more
places that I've seen
SOBs
drop
and
them.
selling their parts all
Moving
across
on
the
to
galaxy.
another shotgun
So,
that
I
I
set up
think
a
is
ship
pretty
scanner
strong
so I
is
can
the
track the
Dastardly
shipments.
Bowie Long Rider.
When
Now
you
this
know
is a
it,
purple.
that ship
There might
scanner's
be an epic
broken.
version or
You're gonna have to
legendary
climb that
version of
crane
this
to
that
fix
I'm
the darn
unaware of.
thing and get it into position.
Even though it is
Then
purple
I can
though,
track the ship.
it's still really good.
Appreciate it.
Obviously, since it's a shotgun and it having extra pellets, it's taking advantage of leaving a trace and having to reload. The reason that I like this one is because it ricochets bullets to the nearest enemy. So when I'm killing normal mobs, I'm pretty much killing 2 mobs at the same time with this. So if you're wanting to use a shotgun against normal mobs, this is definitely a really good option. It has extra crit damage and extra weapon damage, and I'm sure you can get it anointed as well with some pretty decent stats on it. And the accuracy on it is pretty nice. It doesn't feel like a mess to shoot. The mag size is 6, so you don't
Now get to
really
that
have
scanner.
to reload
Thanks a
if you're
bundle.
playing correctly with it. And just the crits ricocheting to nearby enemies is really good. It's super strong.
Don't look down. It'll only make you crap yourself.
Definitely wouldn't recommend using it against bosses though. It's probably okay, but probably not anywhere near as strong as the other weapons. Another shotgun I thought was worth mentioning. I mean, pretty much any Jacob shotgun is pretty much the same as the Long Rider, but this one's pretty good because it consumes 2 shots, so every shot is going to do a little bit more damage than the other one, but
Thanks
again,
again.
if you miss,
I hate these
I
sickos and you're a real hell.
not to mention, it has,
Another ship!
there's a risk
Fend
factor
them off while the scanner warms up!
You there, follow your last breaths. Let them hear your rage.
One shot consumes multiple shots. That's going to be good because every shot you get a pretty decent chunk of damage. All those are going to be really strong against Moving on to another gun that I thought was pretty decent for bosses is the Butcher. I don't really know which one I like more here. I like both of them. I'm probably leaning towards influential the Butcher because it has more crit damage than the other one, and it doesn't have a lot of weapon accuracy. This is okay against both bosses and most enemies with normal accuracy. It's probably not the best weapon against bosses, but it's still pretty decent, and it does kind of fun to just pull down that weapon. Pretty decent there. I don't know how I got this. I must have gotten it from the Great Wars, and that's what I've been farming recently, and I didn't have it before. Now I'm going to get it. So definitely got it from the Great Wars. I don't know if it's strong with Alex on them. If it's good fire, it's probably too strong. Unfortunately, they don't crit ricochet, so they're not as strong as other mobs that killing them with weapons. But it is pretty good for killing bosses, and pretty decent for killing mobs as well. The next and final gun is the Undermining Conference Call. Any conference call works, preferably fire or corrosive. Mine's radiation is what it is. Conference call, pretty much like the other guns, it's just a shotgun. Like the guns are just going to trade, and crit phase, do a bunch of damage pretty much. The cool thing about conference call is though, instead of ricocheting, the bullets kind of the bullets literally do ricochet just all over the place. That's why it's like the damage to the next nearby. So instead of just auto targeting like the other ricochet guys do, this has the potential to kill a bunch of stuff in your radius, and the damage isn't too good, but it makes up for it with that. You get one that has extra crit damage, and you can get it in attack. Conference call drops with Cabra, and also get it from killing pretty much any boss. about this shotgun? This is another shotgun that's very good for killing bosses, and it has a pretty interesting mechanic involved, which I think would be very good if used in the right circumstance.
Good luck.
So I don't think this is as good as killing bosses as a Lyuda or a Call, because it's not going to kill it as fast. What we can do with this is you can shoot all of the, you can just pretty much spam shoot it, and what happens is once you reload, it will then deploy all of the, explosive things. So what you can do is shoot the boss while you're in your crit phase, and then wait to deploy all of them when you're outside of your crit phase, and then it'll all blow up at the same time. And
you find something for me?
The reason I don't think this is as good is because other guns I can literally just kill the boss before fadeaway even ends, so I don't want to take advantage of how this works. But if there's a boss that has an insane amount of HP or whatever reason, you can kill him, maybe doing the fragment and the trader. And the free fragment and fadeaway basically, this is a really good never thought of it as a loot tracker to hunt down the trader. So definitely very strong, and it has fast. I don't know if there's a legendary version of this. The way that I got Great Lord, I'm sure there's a legendary version of this. Very strong.
This was always your head.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the weapons, guys. If you have any weapons, please leave it down in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear if there's any other weapons that you guys have been using and have been success with. So far, these are my favorites. That was a video help. If you did, please make sure to drop a like. Subscribe to videos similar to this one. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter and link to Y-Tweet. Y-Tweet? Yeah, Y-Tweet. That's good. I think we're watching.
Suck on that, you rage against the dying of the light. I am the chosen!
It was surprising. They almost my favorite one is like black book. Also, this one mobs traveling over. And before I get into the video, I just want to give you a big shout out to the gaming supplement similar to G-Fuel, but instead of being cold sugar and other factors, and the coffee to craft and floor with a list of other problems, and actually have to energize hours of fun before gaming without letting you crash. I'd highly recommend this product. I personally use it all the time and it works fantastically. So if you end up purchasing anything from the website, please make sure you use code 2 for 10% off, as that's going to help me out a ton and ensures that I can continue to work on videos for a living. Also, please make sure to check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/2, as I stream every single day, and I often play and help viewers. I even send viewers weapons, like extra weapons that I have. If you want to come hang out,
Beast kill!
One more thing, a good idea that I have is that if any of you guys have multiple of the same weapon and you want to trade in different weapons that you would like, feel free to leave them in the comments below, along with the weapon that you have, and then the weapon that you want. My PSN is blank, I have blank gun, I have
life we track.
Everybody can help you drive the weapons that they want. Okay, anyways, without further ado, let's get right. Alright, now before I get into every single individual gun, I'd like to mention that the skill using these guns is kind of reliant on certain talent. These no trace and head count. If you'd like to know more about this build, I made a build video for this build, specifically for killing bosses, one-shotting them pretty much, so if you'd like to know more about that, but pretty much, a lot of these guns aren't going to work very well without the sound of the trade. For a crit, you can use one hammer to add it back to the magazine, and add ammo. We have this skill to make certain guns like shotguns, shots at the same time, or guns that shoot extra projectiles. Every single one of those pellets or projectiles or whatever have a chance to give you back ammo. But you're never going to have to reload with this weapon. This is very vital for shotguns in particularly, but other guns as well. It's super important. So definitely want to be speccing into Leave No Trace for a lot of these guns that are going to be worth using. It's a really good talent regardless though, pretty much for any gun that you're using, because while you're in fadeaway, everything is a crit, and then they can help off of each other, and then you can just get ammo infinitely. Also, you want to be using head count. You want to be using this regardless, but whenever you score a crit, you can change your action circle down to be reduced, so pretty much when you're out of your fadeaway, all you want to do is get back to your fadeaway. With head count, if you're using a high RPM weapon, or you're using a shotgun with a lot of pellets, in the head,
hunt them down.
Just go back and carry very fast. So we're going to be playing before I get into every gun, I do want to say I have not tested every single gun in the game yet, obviously, but we can gun that I would do that. So we're going to start off with my favorite gun, which is Lyuda. I personally got the Brave Ward gun for 3 weeks now. I believe you can also find it.
I felt your anger. I felt it.
I got it from farming Brave Ward, and I believe you can get it from the same way that I got it from myself. Lyuda is my favorite gun, not only because it kills bosses faster than any other gun that I've seen in the game so far, but it also kills, it's great at killing normal NPCs because it will literally just one-shot them. The reason is because it has very high base damage and very high fire rate, and the magazine size is pretty low. You want to roll this gun that has a low magazine size because it's going to compensate low mag size that has very high base damage. That's why they're good, because the game doesn't expect you to never have to reload by just spam critting over and over again. But since you're doing that, you never have to reload, and you're able to just spam the gun over and over again, doing sniper damage per shot, spamming it. It's absolutely insane. Not much else to say about it. The reason that you're getting your ammo back is because the Lyuda actually shoots multiple shots, and then like kind of if you look
now
right here, it
shoot
doesn't just shoot one bullet,
kidding.
it's shooting
Don't do that.
like 3 or something like that. I don't even know exactly the amount of projectiles, but it shoots multiple, giving your ammo back. The main problem with this, if you're just trying to kill normal mobs, is that you'll probably end up running out of ammo, but you can honestly just swap to a different gun or constantly reload or whatever, and you don't want to.
This is the most sophisticated tracker money can buy.
In terms of
Beats drones,
which type of
bots,
Lyuda
you
you
name
want, I
it,
think which
in
is the
every
best, it's going to have the
conceivable
highest
test.
base damage.
And
I've tried
without
ones that
further,
are elemental, and they just
you know,
don't seem to do as
that
much
fancy
damage
word for
as
waiting.
ones that don't have
Here it
elemental.
is.
So the ones with the elemental still very, very strong regardless.
Exactly as I envisioned.
Look,
Moving on to what is probably my second favorite weapon. This weapon is not very good for killing bosses, but it's great for when you're outside of your fadeaway, or if you're just trying to kill normal mobs. It's great for killing normal mobs.
Now follow that
It's great when
jabber.
you're outside of your fadeaway, trying to just spam crits and get your fadeaway
That's the
back.
word.
The reason being is
Without
that
further ado,
every time you
learn
crit an
that from a
enemy,
guy
it
kill.
returns bullets to
Really
your mag, so you never have to reload pretty much, and it also ricochets bullets to
You
the
know,
nearest enemy.
despite
But
being
the best thing
betrayed
about
by
it is that it
my
has very high
own,
rate of fire,
it feels good to
huge
be back
magazine
in
size,
the
and
field.
it's super accurate.
Even
So it's great for killing mobs when you're not in your fadeaway, and you just spam
that's a
crits very
fancy
easily.
word from that
And
nerd.
with the high RPM complementing it, you're able to take advantage of
Maybe
head
should've
count,
chatted him
keep
up.
your fadeaway back, super fast, and then keep really strong, and the crits ricocheting and hitting your I got this gun from playing Brave Ward, but I'm pretty sure it's just what is very similar to this one is probably my next favorite, Rosenthal. Rosenthal is a little bit better, not outstanding, so it's okay for bosses. Every time they use it, it's not away. The reason that Rome's is pretty good is the base damage is higher, but the accuracy, some moves, and the magazine. You can use Rome's against bosses. It's not nearly as good as some other guns that'll get into in a second.
Indeed, my brother.
It's not nearly as good as some other guns that'll get into, but it's still pretty strong. I mainly like to use it against killing ads, and the reason that it's really strong is just the base damage is insane, and it has the same effect as Lucian, where when you crit, ricochets bullets by enemies. But it just does pretty much double the damage. So a really good combo is fadeaway and out of the fadeaway to pretty much immediately get your fadeaway back. I recommend it both fire or corrosive.
and I'm gonna sauce it up.
Without elements, it is possible that they can live in house and the archetypes of elements. Sure, like I said, get both of them like boss. Moving on to my next favorite is the next strongest next in line to Lyuda in terms of being able to kill bosses really fast is King's Call and Queen's Call. These have the ability to return bullets to your mag when you crit, and also ricochet 3 bullets.
Well tracked, Beast.
When you're fighting a boss, all 3 of those bullets ricocheting are going to hit the boss.
That
and
jabber's
also
trying to tell us something.
Are critting every time you're in fadeaway, so you're literally never having to reload. Just absolutely insane amounts of damage. Personally, I don't think this is very good against normal NPCs.
Nice job, little Jabber.
The reason being is that it only has 6 in the map.
All right,
so
Vault Hunter.
if you
Let's
were
get
to
that
miss
fragment.
against a normal
Find
NPC,
out who
it's
betrayed the
much
ropes.
easier than missing against a boss that has a massive hitbox. If you're going to miss against a normal NPC, you're kind of fucked because then you end up reloading. And this thing has pretty crazy accuracy. It's very inaccurate, and it has very high recoil, so it's pretty easy to miss against normal NPCs. And at that point, I'd rather just use a Roman's Call and completely spam and just, full on spray it. This would, in theory, do more damage than that, but like I said, if you were tapped to reload, that automatically makes it do less damage, especially if you're doing fade away.
Oh, I see.
So, definitely want to use it for bosses, probably the second best gun in terms of just killing bosses. King's Call and Queen's Call are basically the same weapon. King's Call is fire and Queen's Call is explosive, cryo, and I believe Queen's Call as well. I have not seen either of these weapons with no element.
Proud of you,
Some of
man.
you have,
You
but
did
I
it.
have not.
Vault Hunter, kill that traitorous son of a bitch.
Moving on to the next gun. This is also a boss gun in my opinion. Not only is it normal boss, I don't think it's as good as another shotgun second, but Reload Hell Walker, otherwise known as the Doom Shotgun, is really good because it has a 2-round magazine that shoots 10 times, and it has additional
Show him what happens to traitors.
So pretty much what you do is
That one. Chew them to bits.
and boss kills over again, never having to reload. But the reload speed on this is pretty fast, especially if you're that kind of gives you reload speed, then it could be pretty extra with other things, and it can be really good at a lot of spots. In 1 second,
Me and Archimedes work
shotgun
together.
modifiers, I don't think it's as
Sad to
good
say
as
goodbye, but
Lyuda or King's Call,
even if they
for
were
getting boss
family.
damage, but
Well, you see the
it's
fragment?
pretty comparable, and I definitely recommend it if you don't have either of these weapons. It's still very strong and pretty easy to get. I got mine with killing Chupacabra. He drops it pretty often. I also have seen Tyrene drop it.
I have the fragment.
I've also seen, those are
Yes, I
only
knew
2
you
places
would,
that I've
Vault
seen
Hunter.
drop it.
After all this is done,
Moving
you
on
should join the
to
road.
another shotgun
We
that
could use
I
something like
think
you.
is pretty strong is the Dastardly Bowie Long
I should tell you,
This is a purple.
Aurelia offered me a
There
small
might be an
fortune
epic
to turn
version
against
or
Wainwright, yo.
legendary
But I
version of
didn't
this
take
that
it.
I'm unaware of.
Montgomery Jacobs?
Even though it is
Closest
purple
thing to
though,
a father I had.
it's still really good.
Well, those Calypso twins
Obviously,
were
since it's a shotgun and
Aurelia
having
helped.
extra pellets, it's
So
taking
when you and
advantage of
Wainwright
the
are ready to
trace
make
and
a
never having to
move, you let
reload.
me know.
The reason that I like
For the
this
record,
one is
I ain't in
because
it for the
it
money.
ricochets bullets to the nearest enemy. So when I'm killing normal mobs, I'm pretty much killing 2 mobs at the same time. So if you're
Vault
wanting to use
Hunter,
a
I
shotgun
am told you
against
have
normal
recovered
mobs,
another Vault Key
this
fragment.
is definitely
Please
a
come
really
see me
good
on
option.
Sanctuary.
Crit damage.
I hear you, Beast.
I'm sure you can get it back on it. And the accuracy on it is pretty nice. I feel like I'm better too. Just a quick ricochet.
Enrage.
Definitely recommend. Boss mode is probably okay, but probably
Pathetic end for a pathetic.
another shotgun I thought was worth mentioning. Pretty much any basic shotgun but this one's pretty good because it's 2 shots with other shots. Another one, but
You there. How will that stress?
moving on to the second gun that I thought was pretty cool with the bosses is Butcher. I don't really know which one I like more here. I tested both of them. I'm probably leaning towards
Nice one.
Butcher because this one has more crit damage than the other one.
Yes, to the bloodletting!
This is okay against both bosses and both enemies normal accuracy. It's probably not the best weapon against bosses, but it's still pretty decent, and it does decent damage. It's kind of fun to shoot because it can just hold down left click. Pretty decent there. I don't know how I got this. I must have gotten it from killing Grave Ward, because that's what I've been farming recently. I didn't have it before then, and I also have 2 of them. So definitely got it from Grave Ward. I don't know if these can drop with elements on them. If they could, fire would probably be pretty strong. Unfortunately, they don't crit ricochet, so they're not as strong as other mob killing weapons. But it is pretty good for killing bosses, and pretty decent for killing mobs as well. The next and final gun is the Undermining Conference Call. Any conference call works, preferably fire or corrosive. Radiation is what it is. Conference call, much like the other guns, it's just a shotgun. Take advantage of people in trays, in your crit phase, you just do a bunch of damage pretty much. The cool thing about conference call is though, instead of ricocheting, the bullets the bullets literally do ricochet just all over the place, doing a bunch of extra damage to the NPCs nearby. So instead of just auto-targeting like the other ricochet style that you do, this has the potential to kill a bunch of stuff in the radius, and the damage is really good to make up for it with that ability. You get one that has extra crit damage, I'm sure you can get it more speed as well with some cool attack. Conference call drops quickly to Cabra, and also get the mule! Screw you! But you want to get it, Cabra drops it. I forgot about this shotgun. This is another shotgun that's very good for killing bosses, and it has a pretty interesting mechanic involved, which I think can be very good if used in the right circumstance, if you need to use it. So I don't think this is as good as killing bosses or the Hondura or Ball, because it's not going to kill it as fast as it can do it. All of the, just pretty much spam shoot it.
But yours was thrilling.
Once you reload, it will then deploy all of the explosive things. So what you can do is shoot the boss while you're in your crit phase, and then wait to deploy all of them when you're outside of your crit phase, and then it'll all blow up at the same time, and then you'll get fade away back immediately because of head count. The reason I don't think this is as good is because other guns I can literally just kill the boss before fade away even ends, so I don't really need to take advantage of how this works. But if there's a boss that has just an insane amount of HP, or for whatever reason you can't kill, or maybe you're doing man through like 4 friends, or 3 friends, and it takes like 2 fade away phases for you, this can be really good because you're going to do insane amounts of damage and then just go immediately back into your fade away, and then you'll be able to kill it during the second fade away. So definitely very strong, and it has the potential to kill bosses pretty fast. I don't know if there's a legendary version of this, and the way that I got this was from Grave Ward. I'm sure there's a legendary version of this. It's very strong, potentially much better than this. You'd also want it to have extra crit damage. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all of the weapons, guys. If you have any recommendations, please leave it down in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear if there's any other weapons that you guys have been using and have been getting success with. But so far, these are my favorites, and I hope this video helped. If it did, just be sure to drop a like and subscribe to videos similar to this one. Follow me on Twitter, Nick2. Follow me on Twitter, and Nick2YTweet. Yeah, YTweet, that's what I do. Alright, thanks for watching.
Well, I've got good news as well. I know where the third fragment is. It's right under the Harpy's snout. We can nab it and open the vault all in one fell swoop.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2. Today I'm going to be showing you guys what I believe to be currently the best black build, both for leveling and also for actually reach max level and our ending content. I've tested a whole bunch of variations of the build and done a decent amount of math and just, I guess, theory crafting or nerding out or whatever you want to call it. And after all that, this is what I determined to be the best, and this is what I was able to level up with level 1 to 50 in about 24 hours played. So overall, pretty good build, and it's a lot of fun to play with. Unfortunately, it's not a snipe build, unlike the game, for some reason, advertised this character as being a sniper. Nothing like a snipe character. There's no reason to snipe this character, but regardless, as you can see, the build has an insane amount of damage, and I'm really looking forward to min-maxing it in the future. Those are the things that slate, and I'm going to be showing you guys what order you want to do things in. That can kind of give you a 100% order to do things in. While leveling, it's really not that big of a deal anyway. My best, so I'm trying to show you what I did, but I feel like it would be much easier to follow if I just started completely empty. So this build is pretty much going to revolve around playing with Fadeaway and then eventually getting Reloads in the Mist. The reason being is that Fadeaway is probably the best ability out of all of them. It's going to give you 100% crit, that every single time, or every single shot that you shoot is a guaranteed crit, which pretty much does the same amount of damage as a headshot, but you also will get even more damage if you headshot the enemy. Pretty much just double the damage. And then the way that it works normally is once you fire 3 shots,
So what now?
away, but while you're cloaked, you do 200% crit damage per shot, 25% cloak, which is speed, so just run around really fast, so some decent health regen, not very good, and it's going to last for 15 seconds and be on a 45-second cooldown. The reason that we go for Reloads in the Mist is that it's no longer going to just dissipate once you shoot 3 bullets, which is really nice, but at the cost of it not lasting as long and doing less crit damage. Once you get other skills, you're going to be able to increase the duration of this, but this pretty much just makes it where the idea of this build is to just pop this over and over again with a high rate of fire weapon, shoot as much as you possibly can while getting the extra crit damage, and just pumping as much damage as you can possibly. We later on end up unlocking Guy as well, which is probably the best talent. Next to this, it's not like it's not a buff, or what am I saying? It's not like an ability, it's just extra damage. Just as it hits on the target, increases my crit damage per hit, and it resets every 3 hits, so you get to increase your crit damage for a pretty significant amount over and over again, which is really good. This is particularly good on higher or on lower RPM weapons, so during your crit phase, you could swap to a lower RPM weapon and take higher damage because that third crit is going to do exponentially more damage or
She's special, and by special I mean there's no one else
basically
like
how
her,
we
and she deserves the best
this
salvage
is
we can
our
cry
main
out
goal
for
is
that
to
flat
get
track
Fadeaway
hands.
back as fast as possible, and also stack as much crit damage so that we do as much damage during Fadeaway as possible. Meanwhile, getting a lot of crit damage and fire, or a lot of normal gun damage and fire rate along the way. The reason we want fire rate is because we're using this talent head count, where whenever you score a crit, it has a chance to reduce the action skill cooldown, and this ends up being 30%, so literally like 1/3 of your bullets reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds, and if you have a very high RPM weapon, you can get your cooldown back in literally like less than 10 seconds after popping it, which is huge because you're doing so much damage during Fadeaway. I'll get into the other skills that I use later, like the pet skills and stuff, but I'm just going to unlock stuff in the order that I would if I were to be leveling. So, first off, we're going to apply the fierce attacks that you get from the rules in the Mist equipment. That is the main priority there. I'm going to put this here. And then, the reason we're going for fierce attack is because every time you hit an enemy, increase your gun damage by 2% once completely maxed out, a total of 10 stacks, and it lasts for 4 seconds. And later, we're going to get into something that's going to increase the duration of this by double, but this is really good because, I mean, it's just 20% extra damage all the time. The reason is because when you get to 10 stacks, if you just shoot the enemy, it refreshes the duration, so you pretty much have this up all the time, and with the higher RPM weapon, you're going to be keeping this up a lot of the time. These other two abilities really aren't that good. I wouldn't really pay too much attention to them. The max health can be good if you're a survival-oriented player, but in my opinion, the best defense is offense, so I prefer to lean towards things that get damage, and I'm not really too concerned about having additional max health. And your pet cooldown ability is just so bad, so I wouldn't really worry about using this. The next thing that you want to go for, since we have Gorillas in the Mist unlocked, we're going to go straight into this next tree, and we're going to unlock 3 Persistence Hunter, which is going to increase our action skill duration to become Fadeaway by roughly 4 seconds, and also increase our gun damage by 12%. Increasing this by 4 seconds is huge because you're just going to be able to pump out that much extra damage during this because it's going to last longer. Next, we probably want to spec into Overclocked for extra fire rate. reason that you don't want to spec into these other things, you can do this, and I can get more into this later. But you want to prioritize this because there's 10% fire rate and 10% fire rate after reloading, and fire rate is a huge amount of extra damage. It just relates a lot of extra damage, obviously, because it's shooting your gun faster. And it complements very well with this. So now we're going to start going into this tree just to unlock head count, and then we're going to go back into here because we want to get this ASAP. So, starting off in this tree real quick, we're going to start with Interplanetary Stalker. This is really good while leveling because when you kill an enemy, you gain an extra 10% bonus damage, and then it's going to stack multiple times. On top of that, depending upon the type of enemy that you kill, you get an additional buff of 7% corrosive damage, or action skill damage, or movement speed. Obviously the human bonus is the biggest thing, because it's action skill damage, and you can stack this up like crazy and then pop your things and just melt shit. But while leveling, this is really good, because it's just a ton of extra damage. You're able to kill NPCs pretty fast, so you're gaining, you're stacking this over and over again, and doing a good amount of extra damage and action skill damage. And then we're just going to go 3 into head count. The reason we want to go into this early is because while we're leveling, we want to get our cooldown reduced on our fadeaway pretty fast, and we want to get into the routine of using higher RPM weapons and just landing crits as much as possible to get our cooldown back. So, jumping back into this next tree, we're going to continue on with turn, tail, and run. This is going to be giving us cooldown or damage reduction and regenerating health while we're moving, so we have a little bit of survivability. But the main thing I'm going into this for is while you're standing still, you gain gun damage and fire rate. You gain 25% gun damage and 12% fire rate. Huge amount of extra damage. It might sound counterintuitive and kind of clunky to play with, but once you get used to it, it really isn't that bad, and you kind of just get into the groove of just when you want to do a lot of damage, you just sit still for a second. It sounds weird, but it ends up working great in practice. So, obviously we have a problem here because we want to get 2 more points into this to unlock this next ability, so you got to put 2 more points in. This is kind of up to you and what you're doing. You could go into this so that your pet can res you. I decided to avoid it because usually I can kill something if I'm about to die. It's not that big of a deal, but if you're doing harder content later, where that isn't an option, or maybe like during a boss fight, this would be pretty good if you're playing solo. But for me, I'm going to go into Eager to Impress because this is going to end up getting buffed by a different skill that we spec into later that I will show you. But this isn't that great of a skill, and this is why I don't go into it early, because once you get it, +5, it doesn't really reduce the cooldown of your skill that much per kill. I guess I should read it. Every time you kill something, it just reduces your action skill cooldown, which does sound like it would pair very well with the skill since we're trying to get our skill back very fast, but it just doesn't give it to you. It doesn't give you that much value, because like at max it's 1.25 seconds per kill, and you're not killing a million NPCs a second, right? And if you have the right guns and you're playing correctly, you'll usually get your cooldown back in like 10 seconds anyways. And in that period of time, you're not going to be killing that ton of NPCs. So it is nice to go into this just for a little bit faster of getting it back, but it isn't huge. So now that we've spec 2 more into this so that we can go down here, we're going to go 3 into the Fast and Furious. This is going to give us gun damage and movement speed when we're above half health. If you have a good shield, you're pretty much gaining this all the time, which is just free gun damage and free movement speed. Now again, we have the same problem, 2 more points away from Unblinking Eye, so I'm just going to go boom, 2 and 2 Eager to Impress. You could easily go 2 into Hidden Machine if you're playing with friends, where it just is like when an enemy target isn't attacking you, or it's maybe attacking your pet or something, you gain extra damage. This is good if you're playing with other people, especially if you're playing with 3 other people, because more of the mobs will be focused on you, so you get this buff up more frequently. But I play solo the majority of the time, so I don't really want to spec into this at all. I'd rather just go into this. Or you could go for a self-repairing system instead of Eager to Impress, and just gain 24% max health, which would pair well with the Fast and Furious, yourself above half health. I just don't think it's worth. So yeah. In terms of the pet slot that I use, I like to use this one because usually what I notice happen a lot, let me make sure that I put this, what I noticed happened a lot is that my pet would just die all the time because it was using melee abilities. So this is really nice because it gives your pet a gun. Additionally, a rocket launcher, which is pretty cool, and it makes your pet pretty beefy, which is also really cool. On top of that, it gives you 5% movement speed and 5% crit damage, which is just a very nice bonus to have. Going back into this tree, this is how we're gonna, this is how we're gonna end things. We're gonna, we need 2 more points to go into here. So, the next thing I'm gonna go into is Second Intention. This is gonna be giving you reload speed every time you kill something, and even more reload speed if your kill is a critical kill, which most kills should be. The reason that I don't think it's worth to stack 5 into this, it could be early on instead of going Interplanetary Stalker, but currently I'm using weapons that I'm not really reloading with because of the bonuses that they have on them, and I could show what weapons are good in a minute here. But this just isn't huge for me. It is really nice if I do have weapons that I have to reload with, and it's just nice overall. I don't really think these other things are worth going for. I mean, this can be okay in place of it because it's just extra damage against humans, extra damage against robots, and some survivability against beasts. I don't really like the survivability, but most NPCs you kill are humans anyway, so free crit damage is pretty nice. In retrospect, this could be better to use than Second Intention. It kind of just depends on the guns that you're using. While leveling, I probably lean towards Second Intention because you don't have perfect guns with very well rolled, or that are very well rolled, Jesus Christ. So it's good to have additional reload speed while you're leveling. This I don't think is good because there's always enemies nearby, so I wouldn't really worry about it. Next thing, this is probably the best talent in the entire game because it gives you, is that 5 plus 25% extra projectile chance, which literally means you shoot 25% extra damage, or 25% extra bullets, which will equate to 25% extra damage. The reason I think this is the best talent in the game versus getting something like this, 33% gun damage, is that getting extra projectiles is just a flat extra bullet, whereas getting extra gun damage
This is the way.
100 damage.
You there, how are your last breaths going?
My gun would then be doing 110 damage. I don't think that it works like that because of how much additional gun damage you can stack on top of each other, as well as all the buffs compounding each other. I don't think that the way that the coefficients are calculated, I don't think that it works like that. But getting extra bullets, no matter what you're doing, is extra flat damage. And as you can see, I'm modeling plus 20, or plus 20, that'd be sick. Plus 2 into this, which can be 35% extra projectile chance, which is even more damage. Moving on, we're going to go 3 into here. This is huge. My hunter skills become more effective and they have a longer duration. 100%, doubling the duration on my hunter skills. And the effects are increased by 30%. What's the hunter skill, you might ask? This is the hunter skill. This is the hunter skill. This is the hunter skill. That's about it. But those are all insane. Increasing the duration of this by 100% and increasing the effectiveness by 30% on all of these, that's actually crazy. It's actually so good, and it only costs 3 to spec into. And it's really great if you're using something like this. The next thing we're going to go into is this. Only 2 points though, but it's another hunter skill where whenever you kill a badass or stronger enemy, you gain increased crit damage, gun damage, and handling. I'm only specking 2 into it, which is 17% 6% crit damage, and handling will last for 120 seconds. But guess what? It lasts longer than that because you're in the big game. It's actually going to last for 240 seconds. It's going to last for 4 minutes, dude. 4 minutes of extra damage pretty much for free, and you're constantly going down. You could go 3 into this. I'm not sure if I want to do that because what I want to do next is 15% crit damage. That's just 15% damage while going on fade away and the archer as quick as possible. And also, boom, 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 4 into targets, 12% gun damage, and 20% action skill damage. Obviously we don't have enough points to spec more into this. That would be nice, but whatever, by itself it's really good. 32% extra damage pretty much when we're in our buff anyway, which is really good. You could make an argument for going 3 points into this, or 3 points into this, and then 3 points into this. Not really a big deal. In terms of what you want to do with your class slot, what perk is going to give you the most value, I honestly think that if you could get this to +2, so that it's at 5, that's probably the most value, so that you're getting your cooldown back ASAP. Otherwise, getting +2 here is huge. I pretty much hit the lottery there. Getting something new would be really nice as well, just increase the duration. Anything that is out of 3 is usually going to be pretty good because just of how much value you're getting out of it. So
I
this
missed you,
is pretty
boy.
good because since it's out of 3, per point is going to be more meaningful than something like this. But there's a lot of things that are really good. If I were to make like a tier list, I would say this and this is like A tier. This is probably like B tier. This would be B tier or maybe A tier. This is B tier. This is also A tier. This is probably, I don't know, C tier. C tier, C tier. Maybe A tier. I don't even know if you can get this. Probably B tier if you could. And if you could get this, this would be better than all of them. This would be a S plus, because if you were to increase the duration of this from 45% to, what would that be, 75%, you're just effectively making your stuff last much longer, which is just obviously where the bulk of the damage comes from, so that would be huge. In terms of what weapons you want to look out for, while leveling, not a big deal. I would just try to find things, again, with high RPM and things that have extra crit damage as a stat on them. It's also really good to have something that, you know, when you land a crit, it ricochets bullets, so just hitting more NPCs is obviously really good when you pop your buff and you're landing 100% crits. Once you get to max level, things like on action skill end, weapon damage is increased by 100% for a short time are really good because with pop your buff, use a gun like this, where I just do a shitload of damage critting things over and over again. It turns bullets to the max and having to reload, ricochet bullets. It's absolute mayhem, but then I can swap, because my action skill ended, and then now this does 100% extra damage for a short amount of time. Stuff like that's pretty good. I haven't done a whole bunch of testing with weapons, but while you're leveling, I'd really recommend using higher RPM SMGs and ARs, and then while you're in your buff, you can swap to something like a sniper to gain a whole bunch of extra damage on that weapon, but I wouldn't really use a sniper or anything outside of your buff, because you're trying to reduce the cooldown as much as humanly possible. So, yeah, in terms of, we already talked about class mods, in terms of like what you want to get on here, I haven't seen a whole bunch of them, so I don't really know. But getting things like action skill cooldown reduction is huge. The thing of ideal extra damage when enemies are above 75% health is pretty decent. I have a decent amount of these. I'd recommend just trying to get things that give you extra weapon damage, extra, skill cooldown reduction. Maybe getting rate of fire is really good, or maybe weapon crit damage like this one is. Stuff like that is really strong. This one right here is pretty good because it's big game +2 and interplanetary stalker +2. But I really like having the extra +2 of the extra projectile chance. In terms of relics, I haven't really found that many good ones. Ideally, you want one that gives you action skill cooldown rate and like crit damage or something pretty similar to what you would want on here. I haven't really seen a lot of these, so I don't know necessarily what's possible. And yeah, everything else is kind of just up to preference. In terms of your Guardian rank, for me, I'm just speccing as much into Enforcer as possible, and also reducing the cooldown of my thing as much as possible as well when I don't get like a good swap. But I'm just speccing into this for C combo and hollow point. Killing an enemy with a crit causes an explosion. I'm really looking forward to that. Otherwise, I mean, this is really good. Action skill cooldown rate increases while you're at full shield. That's really good. And also getting...
Just before we dive into the video, I want to let you guys know we have an awesome giveaway running right now with the guys over at Gamersheet for everything you see on screen. If you want to get involved, be sure to get that link in the description box down below. And if you want to save some money on buying Iceborne in the UK, then you can go over to their website and use the code ARIXGaming, which makes it one of the cheapest places. Code ARIXGaming, which makes it one of the cheapest places to buy. By all means, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what your favourite ones are so far. Let me know what best drops you've had. But starting off with our list. Pressing one here, it fires out two. So it fires them out in this spread notion, and then anything that gets caught in the middle just gets chained together. So I've had situations in the past where there have been huge groups of enemies, and you just fire this into the crowd, and you just get chains and chains of lightning, and it's great for ripping down shields. This is, it might not necessarily be the best thing for kind of deleting health, but if an enemy's got a shield, you fire this through, it's a great way to just rip shields off from a crowd, and then you can switch to another weapon and use that. So this, for sure, looks awesome. It's a melee weapon, has a nice element to it, but more importantly, it's got a very nice perk.
separate magazines. The reload animation for this thing is just hilarious. But what that also means is you get to the point where you have about 127 rounds in the mag, and this fires full auto. So you kind of see it like a really, really fast firing SMG. And yeah, okay, maybe the damage might not be as high as some of the other weapons compared to it, but the fact that you can just lay down this continuous fire, that's great for, say, someone like me with flat rifle. It is categorized as a sniper. This one is the pistol SMG, and in this case, it's called Stormfront, and it works in a kind of similar way to the one of the West, that you throw it down. A grenade that's already at a higher level. It's an assault rifle, however, instead of firing out bullets, it fires out a continuous beam. So again, for anything that has a build that is, say, on hit skills, for anything that kind of benefits from sustained fire, this is really good because the beam, to a degree, not completely, but to a degree, kind of sort of like locks onto enemies, so you can get in the general vicinity and it will sort of just like, you know, tether its way towards them. And this can be a great way for just like keeping that pressure on the enemy, run down the health, run down the shield, and just, I mean, just looks crazy to see it, right? Laser rifles are fantastic. A few seconds after, so you kind of have it as a good way to deal with crowds of enemies if people are right in front of you, and you just want to fire it out and dish out these wide, sweeping explosions. Again, sort of fire it and think, it doesn't do much. But then when you start firing this at different enemies, it basically chains these lightning links together. In fact, we've seen quite a few weapons that seem to chain this lightning together. You might get the idea that I like chain lightning. But yo, when you fire these together and you start linking it between enemies and you get these nutty linked lightning streams all over your screen, yo, it's just kind of cool, right? I mean, that's what you want. You just want these cool weapons. It does a lot of damage again. It's also very potent, but more than anything, it's just an incredibly awesome weapon to see in action. Plus, this is an anointed version where on action skill, CKD here with a quick guide for Borderlands 3. Boss farming is easier than ever in Borderlands 3 thanks to improvements to the save locations, and most bosses are indeed farmable. All you need to do to get a boss on farm mode is to defeat the boss the first time and completely finish the associated quest, which for the main bosses usually involves returning to Sanctuary and finishing up some quest dialogue with an NPC or two. Once the quest chain is completely done, you can fast travel back to the zone and run the area before the boss arena, where there will be a save point and an EU station. The first time you do this, you might have to run quite a distance, but from now on, you can fight the boss, collect your loot, and save and quit the game to the menu. Then when you select continue game, you'll reappear at the save point right before the boss, and you can simply just drop down and kill them again with almost no zone running required. If you're new to farming in Borderlands, there's a few reasons why you might want to farm a boss. Not only do they typically drop a large amount of
There's our Vault Hunter.
Illegible. assist you, boy.
Okay, so today I have the location for an epic legendary weapon called the Smart Gun XXL. How's it going, guys? My name's David Chen. I'd like to thank you for stopping by and checking out my video. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like truly helps out, and subscribe for a new round here and want more Borderlands 3 videos. Okay, so the boss is pretty damn epic, as you can see on the screen now. Upon reloading, this poison blasts you throughout his brain, spider-seeking mutants which chase and destroy absolutely epic people. Now my pal has also had this weapon drop here too. Now I can confirm the Smart Gun XXL is exclusive to the command. I ain't sure. Duplex and Promethea. Spawn in as I do and follow the route I take on the screen now. Once you get here, if you haven't been here already, there is a safe one here, as per usual. So if and when you kill the command, you don't get the weapon, quit the game, load it back up, and spawn right here, and farm him again. Farm him until you get this legendary people. Happy days. Now Gigamind's weak spot is his back, so use what you've got to get behind him once he goes into that shield section of the fight. And from there it's pretty easy, so yes guys, go here, farm this legendary, and good luck to you. And on that note, we have come to the end, guys. This is how you get the Smart Gun XXL. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, it really helps out. If you're new around here and enjoy Borderlands 3 videos and want more, be sure to subscribe. And if you never want to miss a video, I upload, you can turn notifications on by hitting that bell button. But guys, thanks as always for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I will see you on that next.
Fly onto the orbital platform and take out that laser before Kagawa knows what hit him.
Hey, you got yourself a fragment! Making your own bulky? That's fun. You know what we've been making? An ever-hungry tide of ravenous foes sweeping over the galaxy committing super murder in our name. Just for fun, enjoy this one. You might spend more time recruiting and less time polishing your gun.
franchise has always been known for its comedy and oftentimes its ridiculousness.
Got a nose for treasure, I see.
Borderlands 3 with its weaponry. We have guns with the legs, rocket launchers that shoot out burgers, and also the long musket. Now let me give you a bit of backstory about how this weapon came to be. Earlier in 2018, Elon Musk's company, known as the Boring Company, created a product known as Not a Flamethrower that became something of an internet sensation. I mean, come on, the product is goddamn awesome. Some call in fact that it sparked the interest of Randy Pitchford. On January 19th, 2018, Elon Musk tweeted about the flamethrower, stating, "But wait, there's more. The flamethrower is sentient. The safe word is cryptocurrency."
Oh, hey, it's you.
Good to see you, my boy.
What? Terribly sorry, I thought you said something. Carry on, then.
Well, the Amber Mile tried to put you in the mud, didn't it, Vault Hunter? Good to see you're still on dry land. Vault Hunter, I got the fire in my breast and a gun in my hand. We gonna take back the last key fragment, and I figured out where it is. The Jacobs Powder Cellar.
What is a powder cellar?
Well, that's where my family cascades our signature gunpowder. My father must have hidden the fragment in a barrel of Grand Reserve black powder before the Calypsos arrived. Clay knows a secret way to get in. Go and meet up with him. This'll require a dual-pronged attack. Vault Hunter, while you infiltrate the cellar, Alistair and I will slip past the Harpy's zealot guard. Tonight, we take back Jacobs.
Here.
I'm over by the waterfall when you're ready, Vault Hunter.
I'm shipping off to brighter shores. Promethea, here I come.
Still got it.
If I stand about much longer, my more artificial joints may begin to rust. I'll sneak up on prey with a squeaking prosthetic.
Gonna whittle me a little wooden jabber. Good luck, charm, in these dark times.
I will try to control the Vault Hunter now. Do as I command. Yes, it's working!
Well, the Amber Mile tried to put you in the mud, didn't it, Vault Hunter? Good to see you're still on dry land.
Did you hear the one about the leopard mong that was spotted near the southern shelf? Something about all leopard mongs being spotted. I don't recall the details. Ah, humor, what fun!
I could really go for some chips.
Still got it.
Well, the Amber Mile tried to put you in the mud, didn't it, Vault Hunter? Good to see you're still on dry land.
I'm so alone. Someone give me a hug. Any takers?
Smell like mud and betrayal. It's quite the musk.
Hey, what's up, awesome dudes? Crazy here, back in Borderlands 3, and today I'm going to show you a really awesome and quite overpowered build for endgame flag. In fact, this is probably the strongest build I've used so far. It absolutely shreds bosses, especially the big ones. Yes, it is more than amazing on both main and as well as 3. I've been doing this for the past day or so, and it's absolutely amazing. It's wrecking everything, as you can see right now on the screen, and it's also super fun. I mean, this is one of the funnest builds I actually played around with. So, of course, if you watched any of my previous videos, I am using one of the guns from a very end game encounter. So, yeah, spoilers alert. If you don't want to get spoiled, there's going to be some fights happening in this video that are going to be truly end game. So, if you don't want to see that, then stay back. But in this case, I'm using, of course, King's Call. This is a level 50 that I got, and it's actually very powerful. It comes with some really awesome stats, and I managed to get it with a 10% critical hit damage on top of its bonuses. So let's go over the actual build and what makes it so overpowered. And actually, let me just start with the weapon itself, because the bonus over here is extremely important. The one that reads critical hits, return 3 bullets to your magazine, and also ricochet 3 bullets at the nearest enemy. In this case, if you're fighting bosses, all of the bullets will all ricochet to the boss itself, and there is where all the damage comes from. So the more hits, the more critical hits that you do, the more bullets you get, the more ricochet bullets you can do. So it's pretty simple, but you can actually make that even better, because Flag has some really awesome passives over here that further buff that beyond. So let's go over the actual build itself, and here are all the skills that I'm currently using. I'm using the Hunter tree as well as the Stalker tree, but of course the Hunter is where most of my damage is, and are invested in. So let's just go over the hunter tree first, because this has some really important skills over here that you really need if you want to make this build successful. So the first one is leave no trace. This is what makes this build so overpowered, because if you read it, when Flex scores a critical hit, there is a chance for 1 ammo to be added to your magazine, and in 3 out of 3 it has a chance of 36%. And this is of course stacking on top of what this gun already has. King's Skull already has something like that baked into it, so it's like a double bonus that always keeps you refilled, and you won't have to reload as much as you need if you didn't have this perk. So again, this is very important. This is what makes this build in the starting stages so overpowered. From this point on, it's all about damage, stacking damage abilities. So I went for Interplanetary Stalker. This gives me a stack of 10% damage increase each time I do some damage, and because I'm doing damage with such a high rate, I can get this buff really fast. So that is like 50% easy damage to go over. Another one that I went for is of course head count. This is very important because I'm also using Fade Away, and Fade Away is where most of my crits come from, and I kind of want to buff that a little bit. So whenever Flex scores a critical hit, there is a chance their action skill cooldown is reduced, so every crit I do has a 30% chance to slash off 2 seconds of that timer. And because I'm doing constant crits, I'm pretty much spamming this Fade Away just because of this ability over here. I also went with this passive Hunter's Eye, but I didn't fully max it out because there were more important skills over here that I really wanted. So this increases bonuses when fighting different types of enemies, like humans, robots, beasts, but bosses, unless you get a special item, are not considered either human, robots, or beasts. So I kinda only put this here so I can further progress later into the tree, but it's also useful if you're fighting ads all the time. Another one that is extremely good is Two Fang, and what this does is it adds a chance to fire an extra projectile per shot, and that chance is 25% at maximum. So whenever I'm shooting all of those bullets, I have a very high chance of also shooting extra projectiles. So there is where all the spam comes from. All of these 3 combined are just melting, and they're just buffing each other over and over again. From this point on, we have the most dangerous game, and this is just an overall amazing passive. Of course, you don't absolutely need this. You can definitely go for something else. Let's say you want more reload speed or something else, you can definitely go with that. But let's say, for example, you're doing some endgame activities where you will fight badass or strong enemies, and in this case, this will greatly benefit that, because you will receive a huge gun damage bonus to that, as well as critical damage. So whenever you're fighting badass or stronger enemies, you gain an increased critical damage, gun damage, handling for a very long time, 120 seconds, and the bonuses are pretty wild, like 33%, 13%, 40% to handling, duration is pretty high, and also rewards cash on kill, but that is not really important. From this point on, there's 2 very important bonuses over here that I went for. In this case, Galactic Shadow, which straight out buffs your critical hit damage by 15%. There's also Megavore, which further increases critical hit chance by 20% for even more crits. And I think to get that last one over there, you will need this one, Grim Harvest, but this is also mandatory. Grim Harvest increases gun damage and action skill damage by another 15% and 20% respectively. I didn't use any of the active abilities, by the way, just because none of them straight out buff damage for the build that I am using. Now let's go over the Stalker build, as this is the complementary build over here, even though this is almost into the end over here. So some of the very important skills that I got over here are Furious Attacks. After shooting an enemy, Flank gains a stack of Furious Attacks, which increases gun damage and handling, and it's 2% per stack for gun damage and 4.8% for handling. So that is again a straight out very good buff to your overall damage. Now the Overclocked is something that it's not 100% mandatory. You can go for something else as well. It just increases your fire rate after reloading, but you're not reloading that much unless you're not hitting critical hits. So it's a matter of preference over here. You can go for more HP regen if you want to, but then of course I went in with turn, tail, and turn, and this increases gun damage and fire rate. Again, some really awesome stats. I also spec'd in Lick the Wounds. I mean, it's just there. I needed the points anyway, and it's so useful to have my pet revive me when I'm in danger. And the final and extremely important passive that I went with was the Fast and the Furious. And what this does is that when you're over half HP, it greatly increases both gun damage and movement speed, 25% and 10% respectively. And from this point on, as I was saying, I picked this pet over here, the Gunslinger Jabber, because it increases my movement speed by another 5%, but critical hit damage by another 5% as well. And nothing else from what I was able to tell over here increases that, so this was the best choice, even though the increase was just marginal. But the more important ones are for your fadeaway ability, and here is where most of your damage comes from. I have used Gorillas in the Mist as well as the Unblinking Eye. And the first one, what it does is that even though it reduces the amount of critical hit damage that you do during this, it also buffs it so that you can stay in it for much longer. So what this means is that you can stay in it for about 8 seconds, and you can just stay inside of that for 8 seconds, continuously do crit damage, and this in itself is where all the damage comes from. This will greatly benefit that passive from the gun, so that you get that insane amount of damage from those ricochet bullets, and the fact that you get all of the bullets back into your magazine. So that is why this is important. And I also went with Unblinking Eye because this just gives you a 75% critical hit damage per hit, and that just ensures that you're doing constant crits over and over again. As far as my other items go, it doesn't really matter, honestly. You can pretty much go with anything as long as you have these skills and this weapon over here. But I'm going to go over a few weapons here that I believe greatly increase your damage, and I'm going to go first over this shield upgrade called Health Rerouter. And what this does is that when fully charged, the next shot drains 50% of your shield, but it deals an additional 120% bonus amp damage and returns it as health. And I definitely noticed a huge spike in damage just by having this over here, and yeah, it's just an amazing overall item to have. Otherwise, I'm still hunting for a good relic. This relic is just something that I got randomly. In this case, this one gives me 40% magazine size, and this lets me have 8 bullets, which I found really awesome and definitely very helpful. So if you can find something that gives you bonus magazine size, it's definitely going to be useful, but also go for something that increases your weapon damage. Now, other weapons that I definitely recommend with this build are Lucian's Call. I cannot remember where I got this one, but I believe this is a boss drop, and this one is also absolutely broken. This destroys everything, and especially when you're doing the Circle of Slaughter, it's absolutely crazy. The amount of damage that you're doing with this thing is just insane. You can just destroy all of the enemies, you have a huge amount of ammo to go, and it just regenerates again and again, and that's because it has a similar bonus over here as King's Call, as in critical hits return 2 bullets this time to your magazine, but also ricochet 2 bullets at the nearest enemies, and it just becomes insane when you use these. And that is it. That is it. That is all there is to this build. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, tell me what other favorite builds do you have for Flag or for literally any other character in the game. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up on it would definitely be super appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
What I like about Benton House is that it's like a small town. In small town, you know everybody. And here at Benton House, it's small enough that you do know everybody. And everybody's so nice, and I love it here. I really appreciate how kind and loving and how supportive the memory care people were here. They brought him around, and I really, at some times, did not think there was any hope for that. I don't believe they're going to find any forbidden neighborhood is designed to have an open feel, so the residents feel not so isolated. When they're around other seniors, they're around other residents. We do have a courtyard that they oversee. One of my favorite things to see is the residents gardening. A lot of residents lose their gardens, and that's what they did their whole lives. So to come here to Benton House and get involved in the gardening club just really makes this feel like it's a home for them.
The units are uniquely designed. There's very, very few hallways. The doorways from the rooms open directly into the activity space, along with the dining room. All of that maximizes contact between the patient and the caregivers, keeps them in better eye contact, which allows for earlier interventions.
The concerns I had of moving my mother from assisted living was numerous years, just being in the facility that she can't move about and get outside on her own, but they get on bus trips, and I don't have to be taking care of her all the time, but they help me take care of her. My job as a coordinator is to keep all of our residents happy. I train the staff to provide the best service to our residents. We do lots of activities. We do a lot of outing. Just because they're in the memory care, that doesn't mean they have to stay there. We take them to the zoo. We take them to the aquarium. And we take pictures. We send pictures to the family members as well, because we want the family members to know that their loved ones are having fun.
So I guess bottom line is love. You feel it, and it's in the air. Anybody that comes in to look at this place can feel the love that's here, and that's what is so wonderful about it. With Borderlands 3 looming on the horizon, let's take a trip down memory lane with the original Borderlands. This game is responsible for kicking off the looter-shooter craze. There have been a lot of games that have tried to copy it, but all those games just feel like they're missing something, you know? Like whenever I'm playing Anthem, which is never, I can't help but think, man, I wish this game would let me gun down some mentally ill midgets. The game kicks off with a Cage the Elephant music video where we're introduced to the main characters. There's 4 classes to choose from. Soldier, who can spawn a turret, Berserker, who can
So long, customer.
Inventory comes and goes, but you can't beat cash. Any item anywhere. Sell to me and I'll find a buyer. I'm sure we'll be doing this all again soon enough.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2, and today I'll be showing you guys how to level up all the way from level 1 to level 50 in roughly only an hour played. Now before I get into it, I just want to say that since this video isn't 10 minutes long, YouTube is going to end up scamming me with the algorithm, so if this video does help you out, please make sure to drop a like, as that would help me out a ton. But anyways, as you can see, on level 50 today, I only have 1 hour
Follow my lead.
played, and if you don't believe that, as you guys didn't link, I stream the entire thing over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Nick2, where I stream daily, so definitely make sure to check that out. But yeah, there's no shenanigans going on here. Everything is legit. And that time is also with testing multiple things, going AFK, etc. So done properly, I'm very confident that you can get a character all the way from 1 to 50 in about 40 to 50 minutes, potentially even faster than that. I should preface this with saying that you will need a friend at level 50 to help you do this. Now, before you instantly fly off the video because you don't have a friend at 50, here's what we're going to do, guys. Since it doesn't really take that long to help carry somebody and get them to level 50 by just boosting them, basically, is what you end up doing, and you'll see that. But people can
be reborn to the hunt.
So, everybody who needs a friend, have your PSN, Xbox gamer tag, Epic Games username,
You there, how are your last breaths going?
But alright, getting into how you actually do this is pretty easy. Pretty much the person who's at level 50 is going to set the game preferably on True Vault Hunter mode if you don't have that amount of time to really get the XP. It's like, I think like 10%, but you do that for the most XP. And then any difficulty between Mayhem 1 and Mayhem 3. My friend and I were doing it on Mayhem 2 because the boss was a bit difficult for him who didn't have that great of skill yet, but if you have a good boss killing build like my flat guide here, Mayhem 3 should be killable without much difficulty, but really the discrepancy in XP between Mayhem 1 and Mayhem 3 isn't too much to worry about. It's really just going to equate to a few more extra minutes, so if the boss is a bit hard for you, just throw out a Mayhem 1 difficulty and it's really not all that big of a deal. Ultimately, you just want to be able to kill the boss as fast as humanly possible. If it's taking you an extra, 20 seconds to kill it on a harder difficulty versus just lowering the difficulty, it isn't worth getting the extra XP for it taking that much longer. Then what you're going to do is just set the game mode to co-opetition by going in the main menu and on the top right of your character screen, clicking the settings wheel, and then you just change it up there. This is going to make the boss level 50 for your friend instead of scaling the boss to your friend's level, making it like level 2 or something. Meaning that every time you kill a boss, the person who, or both of you guys actually, are going to get around 28 to 32k XP on average, depending upon the difficulty and depending upon True Vault Hunter. Then you're just going to load in, invite your friend, or just have them join normally, and you're going to fast travel to the floating tomb on Eden 6. Then you're just going to kill the boss graveboard over and over again. Then once you kill him, like so, just leave the game, have your friend join back, and then you just repeat the process all the way to level 50. Personally, I wasn't waiting for the loot to drop while doing this. We would pretty much just leave the second that we killed him because there's like an animation.
Here we are.
This passage seems inconvenient.
Later,
a party trick, perhaps?
We can do it. But if you're walking,
yeah, Jacob's family loves their secrets. This passage will put you right underneath the
3 to 6 legendaries per
So
run. So the person carrying the other person actually has a really good reason to farm this, and it's kind of killing two birds with stone here. But you might as well just farm this boss anyways and help a friend out at the same time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's very straightforward. It should be relatively easy. That is a Twitch notification, sorry about that. It should be relatively easy for most people to do. As you can see, I'm playing Flak, which has a very strong boss build currently, allowing me to kill the boss incredibly fast. But if you're using the grenade porcelain pipe bomb, which currently is bugged, you can kill the boss pretty quickly without having an insane Flak build anyways. All the classes have good boss damage builds anyways, and I'll definitely...
That passage should have put you smack dab in the powder cellar. The barrel delivery pipe ain't far. Get moving and watch your stray shots.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do hope that this helped. If it did,
Nobody does bullets
share this one. Follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Nick2. Follow me on Twitter. Let's just plug everything. Follow me on Twitter at Nick2YT. I don't know what else to plug, but thanks for watching the video.
Have fun running.
Still or die! For you!
My purpose fulfilled.
How silly the hell were the twin gods? My chili recipe! With me!
Or where that came from? Calling on the fans for backup!
We use old booze barrels to give every shot from a Jacob's weapon the proprietary aromatic profile our customers trust and love. Every batch is unique. I prefer an oak brandy cask myself. Oak takes longer than you think, but it's worth the wait. Alistair and I are nearly to the delivery controls. Vault Hunter, clear the room. can't let that key fragment get into solid hands.
Ah, that's my favorite sound.
Outrun. How fast?
Closer.
Doesn't kill you right for the Calypso!
You're gonna get burned, heretic!
Get shot, heretic! I'm waiting!
Icy prey. Too weak to survive.
Why not? And I'm taking it out on you! This is why I joined up!
Need a moment.
Reinforcements! Chop him up! Recommend the Fix it, baby!
Ready to pounce.
You can ride! Don't stand by her like bottle!
Oh, I shiver. Make me into a stew!
Right on time, Vault Hunter. We're at the controls now.
It's a closet full of color-coded levers and dials. Winnie, you didn't tell me we needed to solve an elaborate puzzle.
Nonsense. An elaborate puzzle is its own reward. Vault Hunter, all you have to do is push the request button by that delivery pipe and open the tube near you. We'll solve this puzzle over on our end. Let's see. That's this lever here. Crank back the amplitude here.
Winnie, hurry. If my sister finds us...
Set the dial to Cupcake, pull the silver chain, and here it comes, Vault Hunter.
Incorrect.
Damnation. Alistair, look around for clues. I found a stuffed fish with a code on it. That'll be the answer. Alistair, read me the clues and I'll solve it.
I'm hardly in the mood to... Oh, fine. Here. Eagle, crab, 7, Windigo.
This is the fun part, Alistair. Try and enjoy it. There, the code's in. Vault Hunter, hit the request button. This time for sure.
Double incorrect.
Hells bells, the fish was a red herring. Watch out for more zealots, Vault Hunter.
Thank you!
Finally! Let the life lead from you. Grand Reserve.
Ha ha! What'd I tell you? Easy as pie. Key fragment should be right inside. A team success is what that is. Now we can open the vault. Come meet me and Alistair near the gardens. I'll open up the way for you. Just follow the conveyor system out of that room. You're on your way. That'll take you to the distillery room. You're coming up on it now. This wing of the house has been poorly tended to since even before the Harpy got her frigid claws on it. My father considered groundskeepers to be a useless frivolity, like lullabies or birthday parties when all I wanted was a damn clown who could tie balloon animals. Yeah, sorry, tamping that one back down now.
Biggest dump ever! Right there! Thing is, I spent a long time on that pot, thinking about how I couldn't find the vault. It was a real worry-dirt situation.
Some days you are hunted.
Nearly done it. Ha! I wish I could see the look on that harpy's face when she finds out.
Wish granted. Hands above your heads, please.
Vault Hunter, hurry! We've been found!
Aurelia, as your brother, I implore you to stop this.
Step aside, Alistair. While I trim the last loose end of the Jacob's line.
If you want to kill Wainwright, then you will have to...
Yes, I know.
Let's see if my fall and be reborn to the hunt. Welcome back, my girl.
The time to see terror was long ago. Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Need some cover!
White out.
Damn.
If at first you don't succeed, die and die again.
Be gone! Hey there! This is your master! The winds are picking up! You're outclassed in every way! The hunt and the hound! Death from the skies!
Don't die on me!
I'm a bad egg! Keep it real!
An orphan outside a factory! Completely useless!
Quiet.
Need a head on! Wasn't my day!
Oh, what the fuck shit is this, man? He's being gay, man. Gay.
Oh, no you don't.
Let them hear your rage!
The time to flee a terror was long ago! Fight for your gods, won't you? Winter has come!
We have much ahead of us.
That won't go easy!
Then smile. Stop.
Bitch is gay, like what the fuck, bro? Stop with this fuck shit.
Let's hunt.
If you experience persistent dread, chills, or clawing whispers at the edge of... It is imperative you stop.
Time to fight!
Every way, whore.
You're already dead. You know that.
This hobby's got flow. Hunter to kill a Vault Hunter.
Need ammo!
Be gone. Was long ago. You messed with the wrong rich bitch. Better to kneel than be a meal.
You can fucking see me? Like what the fuck, bro? What's the point of going invisible if she can see me?
I have need of you, beast. for a fight? This time, no holding back. Don't hold back!
Kneel, then be appealed. The folks here, tear them apart. Sorry for the cold reception. You're like an orphan outsider. Completely useless. Hey, come on, Keon. Get your filthy hands off me. You're not off that door.
My beast is dying!
Need some cover. You're nothing but a whore.
Got the better of you, man.
Run! The ice cream.
But yours was thrilling.
Still think you can save Alistair? Let it go!
You have fight in you yet. Time. I want to see what your guts look like.
You're nothing. Winter's fury. It takes a hunter to kill a better to kneel than be beaten. You'll outcast in every way, or... Do you feel that? The time to flee in terror was long ago.
Glad to have you back.
You can't beat me! I'm rich! Not till I awaken! Let's find shelter! You'll outclassed in every way, or... like.
Fucking shit hole.
Alistair, are you alright?
Me? What about you? You were shot just as much as I was.
Oh, I'll be fine. Not the first time I've had lead in my belly. Just have to clench. Ha! Oh.
Thank you, Bolt Hunter, for giving her every chance.
Fuck that bitch.
Humoring a blinded fool of
Are they dying?
I'm gonna cut King Jackson. He's a little bit.
He will survive the trip back to the lodge. It's up to you to finish the task, Bolt Hunter.
Right, the vault. To reveal the entrance, you'll have to solve some light statue-based riddles out in the gardens.
The only puzzles I enjoy are putting skeletons back together after I have removed them from their owners.
Oh, I do apologize. Are you hearing this, Alistair? The Vault Hunter's lost all whimsical intrigue.
Forgive Winnie, he gets cranky when he's been shot. Do just try solving the riddles, Bolt Hunter.
The first statue is out there on the temple.
Once you clear the path to the vault, I will join you with the rest of the vault key.
That's the founder himself, Singleton Talbot Jacobs. Quite the eye for detail. Singleton got held, and all he cared to do was inspect the bore of the robber's rifle. That is, until the robber shot him in the face. Head to the menagerie next. This menagerie was installed by my great-uncle Maddox. Maddox didn't trust a soul. The man preferred having bars between him and the rest of the world. Once measured his spaghetti on the suspicion that his cook was short-noodling him.
Go and meet death. Let the Huns take you! Got a nose for treasure, I see.
Maddox was a nervous man who never left his room. The outside world was full of those who surely meant him doom. While his concentration was on ruination, the gun at his back went kaboom.
Yep, old Maddox spent so much time looking out the window, he never noticed that his butler was plotting his demise. Gothic drama. The final riddle is in the greenhouse.
Empty. I like your enthusiasm, Beast.
This greenhouse was installed by my grandfather, Warden. First Jacobs to sell firearms to someone without a mustache. A man of great vision and great greed. It was him that made Jacobs into a galactic name, even if it was just a means of lining his wallet.
Die, false thief! I repent!
Yes, into the fray.
So many things I never will. We can open this world! Stop the bait!
Accept your punishment!
Yeah! I spy with my little eye! Jumping thing!
Watch this!
Ah.
I missed you, girl. Badass or not, you will die.
Suck on this, you! friggin' heretic! Jump these idiots! Die, little thief!
I have no blood, so I'm taking yours. Deadliest news, puffier jacket.
Old Montgomery Jacobs, he catches up to me and demands to know where I was going. So I say, you know where I'm going. Then I hear the click of a pistol chamber, and he says, Jacobs might have escaped the big war, but the next one is coming. The War of the Vaults. Good thing there's...
Warden tripped in the factory and died of... Well, the doctor had to invent a new name for his injury. Called it fatal testicular devastation or some such thing. An innovator till the end, my grandpappy was. See, you sniffed all those riddles out like a saurian in heat. Head back to the terrace. There'll be a switch to reveal the entrance to the vault.
See, Winnie? The Vault Hunter enjoys solving elaborate puzzles as much as you do.
Yes, I do suppose the heart of an adventurer still beats within you, Vault Hunter.
You are close. I keep one in my jacket pocket.
Jump these idiots! I'm gonna trash ya!
Alright, what's going on, Lever?
When did you eat that?
Alright, what's going on, everyone? Willis Gaming here. We are back again with another Borderlands 3 video. So in this video, guys, let's go over my flak build, which I've been using. A lot of people have been asking me what my skill trees are, what I'm using, how I'm doing so much damage. In this video, which is going to be explaining, I guess, the talent tree route I took. And yeah, if you guys are new to the channel, I post pretty much Borderlands 3 video every single day. So if you want to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video,
I will assemble the vault.
but it really does help the video out. And with that being said, let's just jump straight into it. So obviously, I'm playing as Flak, the Beastmaster. Pretty much I'm sure 90% of the population of Borderlands is playing Flak, so yeah, I just thought he was cool. I like the fact that you can have a pet, just follow you around, revive you. Really, really good, especially if you're a solo player. I don't really have many friends that play Borderlands, so it's good to just have like a pet that does a ton of damage with you. But yeah, let's just jump in. So, I guess the build focuses around rate of fire, just high weapon damage, and I guess just a few bonuses, which I'll go into in a minute. So, obviously you want to start off with the green tree, the stalker tree. You want to obviously get the Jabba sidekick, the fade away. You didn't know how this works essentially. You go invisible, and the next 3 shots will have increased critical hit and do a ton of damage, so it's really good. This is extremely good for shotguns, so if you have a shotgun, this is really, really good. So, starting off, you want to put your first 5 points into Furious Attack. Oh, before I begin as well, I'm level 50, so I have 50 points. So, if you're not level 15, you can't get some of these, I guess, perks. You may not be max level here, so you just need to wait until maybe you're level 50 to do this build. You can kind of do half of it if you're like level 30 or 40, but I would wait to be level 50 if you want to fully max out this build. So, anyway, put 5 points into Furious Attack. This essentially makes it so whenever you shoot an enemy, you'll gain a stack of this, and pretty much each stack will give you 2% gun damage, 4% handling. This stacks up to 5 times, so pretty much after every shot you take, you increase the damage, so it's really, really handy. So yeah, moving down further, we've got Eager to Impress. You want to put 5 points in that, so whenever you kill an enemy, you get reduced actions. Cooldown, whenever you kills an enemy, you get even more reduced cooldown. And the attack command's cooldown is also refreshed as well, so when you want to target an enemy for your pet to go attack, that gets reduced, so it's really, really good. Basically, my favourite thing out of the whole thing is increased rate of fire. I love rate of fire. Most of my guns are all around assault rifles, SMGs, pistols, so this is extremely, extremely good. So with this, you gain increased fire rate, and you get even more fire rate after reloading. With 5 points in this, I get 10% overall increased fire rate, and after I reload, I get 10% more fire rate, so essentially up 20% fire rate after reloading. Super, super good. Further down, we've obviously got like the rounds. This is just essential to have as flag, especially if you're a solo player. Pretty much it just lets you, so if you go down, your pet can revive you. If you don't have this, I don't know what you're doing, because this is just extremely good. If you just want a quick revive, everyone's going to die eventually, and it's really handy to have like a free revive around if you're not playing with friends. But yeah, next we have Tail and Run. Make sure you put 3 points into this. So pretty much while you're moving, you will regenerate health, and you'll gain a damage reduction. And this is extremely good when you stand still. You gain increased gun damage, and you gain increased fire rate, so even more fire rate, and even more damage. It's kind of a bit tricky to get used to just standing still when you want to DPS, but if you stand still, like if you're going to go for a snipe or something, you get increased fire rate and increased gun damage. It's super good. Moving down further, we have the Fast and the Furious. So while you're above half health, you get increased gun damage and increased movement speed. So as long as you have more than half health, you're going to be doing 33% more damage, and you're going to gain 13% more movement speed. Really, really insane talent, definitely A+. And then moving down right to the bottom here, you want to make sure you're using unblinking eye. So what this does is, every time you hit the same enemy, it increases your critical damage. And this is 75% critical hit damage per hit, so this is insane. Also, make sure you put on Gorillas in the mist. I forgot to mention that. So pretty much, the fade away ability with this build, you still get the benefits, so you still get critical hit damage, and this will last for 8 seconds after this runs out, so this is super good.
score a critical hit, there is a chance your action skill cooldown is reduced, and this will give you a 30% chance to reduce it, and it'll reduce the time by 2 seconds. Really, really good. Further down we have a 2-fang, so this will give me a chance to fire an extra projectile. You want to put 5 points into this. I'll explain why there's 7 in a minute, but pretty much, yeah, this will give you a 35% chance to fire an extra bullet. Especially if you have a high rate of fire build, firing an extra bullet makes your mag drain so quick, and you can just pump out insane DPS. So further down here, we're going to go with the most dangerous game. So whenever I kill a badass or stronger enemy, I will get 17% increased gun damage and a bunch of other bonus. It also gives you a bunch of cash on kill, so whenever you kill badasses, you're going to be getting a lot of cash. Super handy skill to have. Over to the right here, we're going to put 3 points in big game. So flag spinner skills become much more effective and have a longer duration. So you have 100% increased duration on your abilities, and your skill effects have plus 30%. Really good. And then down here we have Galactic Shadow. So flag deals increased critical hit damage, and enemies are less likely to attack him. And then finishing up right here we have Grim Harvest. This gives you increased gun damage and increased action skill damage. So once again we are increasing our gun damage by 12%. Insanity. And then moving over to my Guardian rank skill tree, whatever you want to call it, I've just put most of my stuff into gun damage, gunfire rate, critical hit damage, and then any spear things I've just tossed into luck just for extra loot rewards and stuff like that. Other than that, I guess I should show you what weapons I'm using. I guess you can't really match the weapons because it's all RNG, but obviously the artifact I'm using gives me 12% luck, which is the only reason I'm using it. This is my class mod, so this is why I actually have extra bonuses in certain stuff. So here you can see it's giving me in my blue tree, my orange tree, and my green tree.